Just a quick thing I've wanted to do for a couple of years now, but I've only just found the ability to be asked to do it. So recently, YouTube have given people who have had warning strikes on their channel the ability to more or less get rid of them. You're able to file an appeal to say, I'm a good boy now, and they go away. And like YouTube always does, whether it's with copyright claims or whatever, they basically treat you like an idiot, make you watch a bunch of videos, and then do a stupid fucking quiz, so that you can basically safely say you know what racism is, regardless of what the actual reason was that you got the strike to begin with. For those who don't remember or don't know, in 2021, I believe it was, I managed to get my channel a hate speech strike for making fun of Andrew Velasco's sudden heel turn against the LGBT community. Despite the fact that this guy seems to think that molesting animals and children is a perfectly valid pastime, he apparently came out as disliking gay people, because for some reason that was where he drew the line, apparently. Then he proceeded to be gay several times before he finally kicked the bucket, so whatever. It's interesting to note as well that his original video was clean as a whistle as far as TOS went, according to YouTube, but me making fun of it wasn't. But it got me to thinking what's filling it in, and basically having to say I will not do a racism, despite the fact that nothing in the fucking quiz pertained to what I did, which was parody. It was clear and cut me turning a racist, bigoted little cunt into a caricature and turning him into a joke for the purpose of comedy and critique. This is a clear-cut, run and dry case of parody, and yet YouTube was having none of it. I appealed it. I think I appealed it twice actually, and it didn't fucking stand with YouTube, because YouTube has no case for parody. If you look in TOS, when it comes to the hate speech rules, there is nothing in the rules that says anything about parody. There is not a single clause that suggests that parody is acceptable or unacceptable. And I think that this is actually a problem. The word parody does not come up at all in the hate speech guidelines and is completely overlooked. Now, this is a problem because technically any depiction of Hitler saying things that Hitler said or would say, even as a joke in the case of, say, Heil Honey I'm Home, or I don't know, like one of those sort of fast show era shows where you had silly Hitler caricatures, is hate speech according to YouTube's terms of service. Now, I don't necessarily think you're as stupid as YouTube thinks you are. I need to explain how dressing up and being silly as Hitler is the same thing as actual Nazi rhetoric, and yet somehow YouTube can't see the distinction, or refuses to see the distinction. Now, I understand the can of worms. I do. I understand the fact that if you start allowing parody hate speech, you are opening the door for shit munchers like Andrew Velasco and Ronnie Vane and Cranium and those kinds of people who are bigoted to the core to basically just say bigoted things and then say, oh, well, it was parody, and maybe get away with it. I understand that that would be a problem, that a lot of people would scream parody the second that they get called out for hate speech. The problem is, though, it's not like YouTube have ever said that. It's not like YouTube have said, look, once you start allowing it as a joke or allowing it as a form of critique that ridicules people, then it opens the door to people doing it more. They don't say that. They don't address it at all, which is why I believe it was overlooked and not just ruled out. I'd actually respect it if it was ruled out. It would be, well, somewhat unconstitutional in terms of US law, but, you know, it's not a legal thing, so that hardly matters. I'm just saying, as far as free speech goes, it would be a bit of a grey area, but I understand it on some level. But it's not the thing. That's not what they've done. What they've done is completely overlooked something that I honestly think puts a lot of people in a bad light now. Because a lot of people who want to make fun of monstrous individuals can't do it anymore. Or at least could never do it. Because if they do it, they are technically violating terms of service. If you say hateful speech, even as a joke, under the guise of, oh, well, you know, I'm doing an impersonation of this person, or I'm saying something that they're clearly saying as a subtext to their actual words, you can't. It's apparently a violation of YouTube's hate speech laws. And I find this utterly moronic. And what I find funny as well is the fact that stuff that clearly is parody and satire is subject to being dragged down, whereas actual hate speech I've seen on this platform is still up and fine. Nobody has a complaint against it as far as Team YouTube goes. There's no issue with video thumbnails which depict gay people and various ethnic minorities in a bad light that is unfair, not criticism, just hate speech, and yet these people seem to think it's fine. I do feel like this should probably be reviewed as far as TOS goes, because it says, like, on the Google support page, don't post content that encourages violence against individuals, which it doesn't. It is ridiculing the kind of people who would do that. And do not incite hatred, which again it doesn't. It ridicules the kind of people who incite hatred. In my honest personal opinion, I think YouTube should take a look at it and maybe have a policy on parody. I'm not saying that they should make parody an exemption necessarily, because it's their site, and honestly I do get the argument that if parody becomes an exemption, then people are going to start taking the piss like they always do. But that would at least be an answer, instead of this black hole of vagary, which is just what we have at the moment. I don't know, maybe instead of just copying every other website and stealing features from it, YouTube could actually look at itself and try to make itself a little more stable and worthwhile every now and then.
Professor Curious is okay.